All right, let's dive in. Today we're taking a deep dive into Patel Engineering Ltd's Q2 FY25 performance.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah, especially if you're, keeping up with India's infrastructure scene.
Definitely a big player.
Been around since like 1949, right?
Yeah.
Dams, tunnels, highways, the whole shebang.
Yeah, they've got their hands in everything. So, are their latest results going to live up to the hype?
That's what we're here to figure out.
Gotcha.
We've got, let's see, investor presentations, financial reports, even a credit rating report to unpack.
Whole lot of data.
Yeah. So our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to see if Patel Engineering is really building a strong foundation for the future or if there are any cracks we need to watch out for.
Cracks. That's a good analogy, especially in construction. But seriously, I think what's interesting here is that Patel Engineering seems to be doing pretty well. Their Q2 FY25 revenue came in at $11,743 million.
Okay, that's got to be good, right?
Definitely a jump 15% year over year.
Okay, not bad at all. But revenue's only part of the story. What about their profitability?
Right. Got to make sure they're managing costs effectively. And it looks like they are. Their consolidated net profit for Q2 FY25 was $808 million.
Whoa, hold on. That's a big increase, isn't it?
Huge. It's a 95% increase compared to the same quarter last year.
Wow.
So, yeah, suggests they're navigating this economic climate pretty well.
Okay, so 95% profit jump. That's definitely something to pay attention to. Now, I've been noticing the report keeps mentioning, standalone and consolidated figures.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
For those of us, who don't spend all day analyzing financial statements, what's the difference?
Sure. So standalone is just Patel Engineering's core business.
Okay.
Consolidated includes their subsidiaries and joint ventures.
Got it. So consolidated gives us the full picture.
Yeah, the whole empire.
Okay. Now, looking at those revenue sources, any particular projects that really drove that success?
Yeah, seems like hydroelectric projects were a major contributor.
Oh, really?
Accounted for like 56% of their standalone revenue for Q2.
Interesting.
Shows their, strong position in the hydropower sector.
Yeah, vital for India's energy future, right?
For sure.
Okay, so hydropower seems to be their sweet spot.
Yeah, definitely something to explore further.
We'll have to dig into that. But before we get too deep into specifics, let's talk margins.
Right, margins.
95% profit increase is great, but are they actually running a tight ship? Like, what's their operating EBITDA margin?
Right, so their operating EBITDA margin for Q2 was a solid 13.81%. And, EBITDA stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization.
Right.
Basically a measure of their operating profitability.
Okay.
And that number tells us they're managing costs pretty well.
Makes sense. And I also noticed they highlighted a reduction in interest costs. That's got to be helping their bottom line too, right?
Absolutely. Lower interest costs means more money flowing to the bottom line. So yeah, further boosts their profitability. It also indicates responsible debt management, which is, pretty important in a capital-intensive industry like construction.
For sure. Speaking of capital-intensive, let's talk about their order book.
Okay, order book.
It's basically like a crystal ball for their future, right? So what's it telling us? Any mega projects on the horizon?
Yeah, their order book is truly impressive, I gotta say. It's sitting at $172,607 million.
Whoa, hold on. That's a lot of zeros. Okay, and you mentioned diversity before, right? Tell me more about that. Like, why is it so important? Don't put all your eggs in one basket kind of thing.
Exactly. So their projects span various segments: hydropower, irrigation, tunneling, road construction.
Wow, real mix.
Yeah, and they work with both government and private clients. Their projects are spread across 15 states in India, even extending to Nepal.
So geographically, project-wise, they're really not betting on just one horse.
Nope.
How does this diversification help them in the long run? Does it, protect them somehow?
Yeah, think of it as a safety net. By diversifying their project portfolio, they're mitigating risk.
Okay.
If one sector faces a slowdown, their exposure is limited. Creates a more resilient business model, which is essential in the unpredictable world of construction.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So diverse order book helps them ride out any potential storms.
Yeah.
Okay, now construction often comes with a hefty debt load.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
How is Patel Engineering managing that aspect? Are they drowning in loans?
Well, debt is definitely a factor to watch in this industry.
Right.
But what's encouraging is that Patel Engineering has been actively working to reduce their debt burden.
Okay, that's good.
Their recent report highlights improved debt to EBITDA and debt to equity ratios.
Okay, so what do those ratios tell us?
Well, basically, it means they're using less debt compared to their earnings and overall equity.
Gotcha.
Suggests they're moving towards a healthier financial position.
And their credit rating seems to support that positive outlook, right?
Yeah.
They've got that A rating from Infomerics. That's got to count for something.
It does. That A stable rating reinforces their financial strength and responsible debt management.
Yeah.
It's a signal to investors and lenders that Patel Engineering is a reliable player.
So financially sound and a pack order book things seem pretty rosy. But let's not forget about cash flow, right?
Right. Cash flow is king.
Are they actually bringing in enough money to fund all these projects?
That's the key question, right? Thankfully, Patel Engineering is demonstrating healthy cash flow generation.
Good.
They've adopted a disciplined approach to capital allocation, keeping their capital expenditure low as a percentage of their operating cash flow.
So they're being smart with their money.
Yeah, essentially investing in growth while maintaining financial stability.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
And they mentioned working on improving their working capital in the report.
Right. Working capital.
What does that mean exactly? Is it like cleaning up the financial junk drawer?
Haha. Kinda. It's
Yeah.
more about optimizing their cash conversion cycle.
Oh.
How quickly they convert their investments in inventory and other resources into actual cash flow.
Gotcha.
By managing their working capital efficiently, they free up more cash to invest in new projects and growth opportunities.
Okay, so they're not just sitting on piles of cash. They're actively managing it to fuel their expansion.
Right.
Now, we've been staring at spreadsheets long enough. Let's move from the abstract to the concrete, What's a real-world example of what Patel Engineering is actually building?
Okay. Yeah, let's get into some real-world stuff. So let's zoom in on the Subansiri Lower Hydroelectric Project.
Okay.
It's a major part of their order book. Located in Arunachal Pradesh, it's one of India's largest hydroelectric projects. Massive 2,000 milliW capacity.
2,000 milliW.
To put that in perspective, that's enough to power a major city.
All right, now I'm starting to see why they're so focused on hydroelectric projects. It seems like a good bet for a company operating in India right now.
It's a strategic move, for sure. Aligns perfectly with India's ambitious renewable energy goals. The government aims to achieve 500 gigaBU of non-fossil energy capacity by 2030.
Right.
So projects like Subansiri are incredibly significant.
So they're not just building a dam, they're building a piece of India's clean energy future.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, besides building these massive projects themselves, Patel Engineering has also been forming partnerships.
Yeah, lots of partnerships.
What's the strategy behind these collaborations?
Well, strategic partnerships are a smart way to expand their reach,
Yeah.
tap into new markets. They recently signed Memoranda of Understanding, or MOUs, with two major players,
Okay.
RVNL, a leading railway infrastructure developer, and Ircon International Limited, specializing in railway construction.
Okay, so they're teaming up with some big names in the railway sector. What opportunities do these partnerships unlock for Patel Engineering? Are they trying to become the kings of Indian railways?
Haha, well, maybe. India is investing heavily in expanding its rail network, both domestically and internationally.
Okay.
So these partnerships open up a whole new avenue of growth for Patel Engineering.
I see.
Allows them to leverage their expertise in a high-growth sector. It's a strategic move to diversify their portfolio and tap into government spending on infrastructure.
So it's not just about dams and tunnels anymore. They're adding new tracks to their portfolio, literally.
Exactly.
Now, partnerships are one thing, but what about new orders? Did they win any exciting new projects this quarter? Or are they just coasting on their existing backlog?
Oh, they definitely haven't been sitting still. Two projects awarded in Q2 really highlight the breadth of their expertise.
Oh, okay. Which ones?
The Teestavi Power Station in Sikkim and the Jigaman water lifting project in Maharashtra.
All right, let's unpack those. First, the TCV Power Station. What's the scope of that project?
Okay, so Patel Engineering won a contract worth $2,400.2 million from NHPC Limited for this project. Their work includes constructing a tunnel spillway, a dike and tunnel for environmental flow, and a gate operation chamber.
So a lot of complex engineering in a challenging environment. And what about the Jigan water lifting project?
Yeah.
Sounds like a pretty essential project for Maharashtra.
Absolutely. As part of a joint venture, they secured a $3,176 million contract to improve water supply for irrigation. This involves constructing an approach channel, installing rising mains, setting up pumping machinery, and establishing a switch yard.
Wow, so from dams to power stations to water lifting projects, they really are covering a lot of ground.
They are.
But how does all of this connect to the bigger picture? of India's infrastructure development? Are they just lucky to be in the place at the right time?
Well, there's definitely an element of being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
India is in the midst of an infrastructure transformation. The government is prioritizing development across various sectors.
Right.
But Patel Engineering's success is more than just luck. It's about strategic positioning, a strong track record, and the ability to adapt to evolving demands.
So it sounds like they've got a good strategy, but are they really in sync with the major industry trends shaping this infrastructure boom? What are the key factors driving their growth?
Yeah, let's break down a few. First, the Indian power sector is experiencing explosive growth.
And we know Patel Engineering is all over that with their hydroelectric projects.
Right.
So it's not just a coincidence, it's a calculated move to capitalize on this energy boom.
Exactly. India is striving to meet its growing energy demands while transitioning to cleaner sources.
Okay.
The government's target of 500 GW of non-fossil energy capacity by 2030 means a huge push towards renewables like hydro, solar, and wind, placing companies like Patel Engineering in a prime position.
Okay, so they're riding the wave of India's clean energy ambitions. What else is fueling their growth?
Well, remember those partnerships with RVNL and Ercon International? Those tie directly into another major trend, the modernization and expansion of India's railway network.
Right, those new tracks we talked about earlier. So they're tapping into multiple high-growth areas within the infrastructure sector. Smart move. But all this ambitious development requires serious funding. Is the government actually putting their money where their mouth is?
Absolutely. The government has allocated a whopping 11.11 lakh crore for the infrastructure sector. That's roughly 3.4% of India's GDP.
Wow.
And a large chunk of that is earmarked for projects exactly like the ones Patel Engineering specializes in.
Wow, that's a serious commitment to infrastructure development. So we have a government pushing for growth and a company with the expertise to deliver. It seems like a recipe for success. But are there any potential risks or challenges on the horizon that could derail their progress?
That's a question we'll explore further as we dive deeper into Patel Engineering's operations and strategic direction. There are always challenges in a sector as complex as construction, and understanding those is crucial to assessing their long-term prospects.
All right, I'm intrigued. Stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive into Patel Engineering. Welcome back to our deep dive into Patel Engineering.
Round 2.
Yeah, exactly. In part 1, we kind of laid the groundwork, right?
The basics.
Explored their impressive financials and that diverse order book.
Lots of potential there.
Yeah, for sure. Now, let's get our hands dirty, see how these numbers translate into real-world action.
From spreadsheets to bulldozers, I think a great place to start is the Subansuri Lower Hydroelectric Project, that massive 2,000 MW project we talked about.
Right. That one really stood out in their order book. What's the latest? Any exciting milestones?
They just completed the final concreting of Powerhouse Unit 4.
Okay, now, for those of us who aren't, engineers, what exactly does that mean? Why is this final concreting a big deal?
So the powerhouse is like the heart of a hydroelectric project.
Okay.
It houses the turbines and generators that will eventually produce all that clean energy. By completing the final concreting of Unit 4, Patel Engineering is essentially like setting the stage for installing those crucial power generation components.
So a significant engineering feat, getting them closer to actually flipping the switch on this massive project. Did I hear correctly that even the bigwigs from NHPC, the client for this project, were present at the concreting ceremony?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The CMD of NHPC, along with other senior officials, they were all there to witness this milestone. Underscores the significance of the Subansiri project, not just for Patel Engineering, but for India's energy landscape as a whole.
Yeah, definitely sounds like Patel Engineering is getting some serious recognition for their work on this.
They are. In fact, both the head of project and the CMD of NHPC commended the Patel Engineering team, praised their dedication and expertise.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that kind of endorsement from major clients carries a lot of weight in the industry.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've got a booming sector, a flagship project nearing completion, and praise from industry leaders. Seems like everything's coming up roses for Patel Engineering. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about those strategic partnerships.
Right, the collaborations.
Are those actually bearing fruit?
They are. The partnership with RVNL, the railway infrastructure company, is a great example.
Yeah.
It's allowing Patel Engineering to expand their horizons a bit, venture into building new railway lines.
Ah, yes, adding those new tracks to their portfolio. Always good to have multiple irons in the fire. What specific project have they secured through this partnership? Anything that really showcases their capabilities in this new domain.
One notable example is the construction of a new broad gauge railway line
Okay.
in Yavatmal, Maharashtra. It's a significant undertaking for sure. Demonstrates Patel Engineering's ability to successfully, navigate a new sector, contribute to India's evolving transportation infrastructure.
From hydroelectric dams to railway lines, they really are diversifying their expertise.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive to see them branching out like this. What about their other partnership, the one with Ircon International? Any exciting developments there?
So the MOU with Ircon International is still in its early stages.
Okay.
So specific project details are kind of under wraps for now.
Right.
But, this partnership opens doors for Patel Engineering to participate in both domestic and international railway projects,
Interesting.
tapping into India's ambitious plans to expand its rail network beyond its borders.
It seems like they're strategically positioning themselves at the forefront of India's infrastructure revolution. But let's be realistic for a moment. The construction industry is notoriously competitive.
Oh, yeah, it's a tough business.
How do they manage to stand out from the crowd and snag these lucrative contracts? What's their secret sauce?
Their secret sauce, I'd say it's a blend of experience, expertise, and financial strength.
Okay, I like it.
They have a track record spanning over 7 decades, deep understanding of the Indian construction landscape, and a reputation for delivering projects on time and within budget.
7 decades of experience. That's not something you can just build overnight. It must give them a serious edge.
Absolutely. That experience translates into a wealth of knowledge about navigating the complexities of regulations, permits, local conditions.
Yeah.
Crucial advantage in a country as vast and diverse as India.
Okay, experience is one thing, but the construction industry is always evolving, right?
Always changing.
How do they stay ahead of the curve when it comes to technology and innovation? Are they still relying on the same techniques they used back in the 1950s?
Not at all. Patel Engineering actually has a history of embracing new construction techniques and technologies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were early adopters of things like tunnel boring machines.
Okay.
Advanced concrete technologies allows them to tackle increasingly complex projects with, greater efficiency and precision.
So they're not afraid to embrace the latest and greatest tools of the trade. That's encouraging to hear. But even with the best technology and years of experience, the construction industry is rife with challenges, right?
Oh, for sure.
Project delays, cost overruns, regulatory hurdles, these are all common obstacles. How does Patel Engineering navigate these potential pitfalls?
Their focus on risk management and mitigation is key.
Oh.
They have a proactive approach to identifying and addressing potential risks at every stage of a project, from the initial bidding process to execution and completion.
Makes sense.
This allows them to anticipate problems, adapt to changing conditions, and minimize disruptions that could, impact project timelines and budgets.
So it's not just about winning contracts, it's about managing them effectively
Exactly.
to ensure profitability and deliver on their promises.
Mhm.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, we've talked a lot about hydroelectric power, but their expertise extends beyond dams,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What other notable projects are they working on that highlight their capabilities in other sectors?
So their work on the Q2 hydroelectric project in Himachal Pradesh is a good example. It's a 624 milliW project. Further solidifies their position as a leader in the hydropower sector.
Okay.
They're also involved in the Kawar hydroelectric project, a 540 milliW project, and the T-Stove 6 hydroelectric project, a 500 milliW project, both located in Sikkim.
Wow, so many hydroelectric projects. They really are making a significant contribution to India's clean energy goals. But let's not forget about their involvement in other areas like irrigation and water supply. We briefly mentioned the Jigaon water lifting project earlier. Any other projects in this domain?
Absolutely. Patel Engineering has a long history of building irrigation and water supply systems across India. They've played a role in irrigating over 5.5 lakh acres of land.
Wow, 5.5 lakh acres. That's huge. It's easy to focus on the flashy big dams, but these irrigation projects are just as vital for the country's well-being.
You're right, often overlooked. One notable example is the Sleemanabad Carrier Canal in Madhya Pradesh. This project involves constructing a canal system to transport water for irrigation, covering a vast agricultural area.
And besides these large-scale canal systems, what other types of irrigation projects are they tackling?
So they're also working on several dam projects, including the Morand and Ganjal dam projects, which will create reservoirs for both irrigation and water supply.
Okay.
And On a smaller scale, they're involved in micro-lift irrigation projects, like the Kalwa Micro-Lift Irrigation Project, which focuses on efficiently delivering water to specific areas using pumping systems.
So from massive canals to intricate micro-irrigation systems,
Hmm.
they really do have a finger in every pie when it comes to managing India's water resources. It's impressive to see their commitment to, addressing these critical needs.
And their work in this area also highlights their commitment to sustainability and environmental responsibility.
Okay, let's talk about sustainability. How exactly are they incorporating sustainable practices into these projects? Is it just a buzzword, or are they actually walking the walk?
Oh, they're definitely walking the walk. Take their dam projects, for example.
Right.
They go beyond just building the structures.
Okay.
They implement measures to protect aquatic life, preserve biodiversity, and minimize the overall environmental impact of these large-scale projects.
So it's not just about building infrastructure, it's about building it responsibly.
Exactly. And this approach extends to their other projects as well. The micro-irrigation projects are a perfect example,
Yeah.
promoting water conservation and efficient resource management. By helping farmers adopt these systems, they're contributing to a more sustainable agricultural sector, reducing water waste and minimizing fertilizer runoff.
It's great to see them taking such a holistic approach to sustainability, considering the long-term impacts of their work. Now, we've explored hydroelectric power and irrigation projects, but let's not forget about their core strength, tunneling. They've carved out like over 300 kilometers of tunnels,
That's a lot of tunnels.
which is no small feat. What can you tell us about their current tunneling projects?
One standout project is their work on the Ircon T15 railway tunnel. It's a challenging project, really showcases their expertise in underground construction.
Okay.
They're also involved in several water tunnel projects,
Hmm.
including the CIDCO water tunnel project.
CIDCO Water Tunnel Project. That rings a bell. Remind me, what's the significance of that project?
Right, so this project aims to improve the water supply to Mumbai,
Oh, right.
one of the world's most populous cities. Ensuring a reliable water supply for a city of that scale is a massive undertaking.
Yeah.
And Patel Engineering's involvement really underscores their capability to handle complex, high-stakes infrastructure projects, projects that directly impact millions of lives.
So they're literally digging deep to keep Mumbai hydrated. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Besides water tunnels, what other tunneling projects are they working on? Tunneling for anything else these days?
They're also involved in tunneling projects related to urban infrastructure development, like the Amar Mahal to Trombay Tunnel Project, which aims to improve connectivity within Mumbai. This project shows their ability to adapt their expertise to meet the evolving needs of a rapidly growing urban landscape.
So from hydroelectric dams to railway lines to irrigation systems to water tunnels, they really are leaving their mark on India's infrastructure landscape.
They're everywhere.
And with their robust order book and strategic partnerships, it seems like they're only gaining momentum. But how do they fit into the bigger picture of India's growth story? What's the overarching narrative here?
That's what we'll explore in part 3. We'll connect the dots and analyze the broader implications of Patel Engineering's growth for the future of India's infrastructure development.
All right, I'm hooked. Stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've spent the last 2 parts, really getting into the nitty-gritty of Patel Engineering.
Financials, projects, partnerships, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, exactly. But now I think it's time to zoom out a bit.
Big picture time.
Yeah, consider the bigger picture.
What does Patel Engineering's success, all the stuff we've been talking about, tell us about the future of India's infrastructure?
Well, I think what's really interesting is how their story kind of mirrors India's ambition to become a global economic powerhouse.
Right.
And to achieve that, they need serious infrastructure, the kind Patel Engineering is building.
So they're not just, laying bricks and pouring concrete. They're laying the foundation for India's future.
Exactly. Think about those hydroelectric projects. India's goal of 500 gigavalue of non-fossil energy capacity by 2030
Right. Ambitious goal.
requires a monumental shift towards renewables.
Yeah.
Companies like Patel Engineering are crucial to making that happen.
And it's not just energy, right? Their irrigation and water supply projects are super important too.
Oh, absolutely. A country with a growing population and a huge agricultural sector needs to manage its water resources carefully.
Yeah, no doubt. And, from those massive canal systems to the micro-irrigation projects, Patel Engineering is tackling these challenges head on. They're making sure water reaches the people and places that need it most.
And we can't forget about those strategic partnerships they've formed.
Right, the collaboration.
Teaming up with railway giants like RVNL and Ercon International, aligns them with another key area of infrastructure development.
Right. India's investing a lot in its railway network, recognizing its potential to, connect the nation and boost economic growth. Patel Engineering, through these partnerships, is contributing to that expansion and modernization.
So whether it's clean energy, efficient water management, or modern transportation, Patel Engineering is right in the thick of it.
Seems like it.
But how does all this connect to our listener, the person listening right now? Why should they care about Patel Engineering's success?
Well, for investors, Patel Engineering's performance is certainly something to keep an eye on. Their strong financials, robust order book, those strategic growth plans, all that makes them a company to watch. But, beyond just the investment angle, their success has a broader impact.
All right, how so?
Their projects contribute to a stronger, more resilient India, a more sustainable India.
So it's not just about shareholder returns, it's about building a better future for, everyone.
Exactly. Their work creates jobs, fuels economic growth, improves the quality of life for millions of people. Their story should inspire some optimism.
Yeah, I think so too. Confidence in India's future. Okay, so we've analyzed their financials, explored their projects, looked at their partnerships, all that good stuff. But we've only scratched the surface, haven't we?
Oh, there's always more to dig into. Especially in a field like infrastructure, it's constantly changing. New technologies, evolving regulations, shifting global trends, it all keeps the industry moving.
So what's the final takeaway, the thought we want to leave our listener with?
I think Patel Engineering is at a crossroads. They've proven they can execute complex projects, adapt to changing demands, all that. The question is, how will they leverage that expertise and experience to shape the future of infrastructure, not just in India, but maybe even on a global scale?
That's a great point. Patel Engineering's story is more than just building structures. It's about building a better tomorrow. And remember, knowledge is power. The more you understand about companies like this, the better equipped you are to navigate the complexities of our world. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.